Hello there! Welcome to We Are Crafted in His Image. Today I am doing a little fun fold Friday. I have this card here that just has a little extra flap. It's a super easy fold, but it opens up like that. Kind of cute, super simple. Not a difficult card, but really just that little extra something for somebody. And I think this is the first time I have used this stamp set. I've had it for a little while. This is the first project I've actually really used it on, and I thought it was just so fun. A little get well card that we're gonna make. So let's get started. Excuse me. We're gonna start with a basic half sheet. Go ahead and fold that in half. Now I've already done a lot of the stamping ahead of time because I wanted to be able to show you a little bit of the coloring, and I do like to let my Memento ink dry really well before I color in with the blends. So we've got that. I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to go ahead and pull in. This is the inside panel, and as you can see, I've already stamped the little kitty cat. I put the sentiment and the little butterfly. I went ahead and colored that one in. That one's pretty simple, but I kind of wanted to show you how I colored in my little cat. So let me zoom in a little. Maybe wrong direction. There we go. Get it to focus. And then turn it. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and color in this little kitty cat. Now I only used 2 colors. I did this in honor of our little cat, Mittens. Actually, he was a huge cat. He passed away this past fall, and so I had to color him to look like our tabby. So I started out with dark pumpkin pie and basically just kind of followed where it's already got markings for stripes and just scribbled in and went beyond the shading that's already there so that the orange showed a little bit more, and just kind of scribbled that all over. Now our cat was named Mittens because he had 4 white socks, so we're going to leave his feet white. I'm going to go ahead and get these stripes done. This was a super quick way to do a cat too, and we'll put a little bit down here, and then of course his tail needs his stripes. There we go. And then I just came in with Dark Daffodil Delight and colored in. I avoided the ears. Actually, I did accidentally color in the ears on the other one, but I'm going to avoid them this time. I will come in with a different color on the ears. And then I just colored over. Make sure you don't color his eyes. And start filling in. Now I could use the brush tip, however my brush tip on this particular blend has gotten a little bit mangled, so I'm going to stick with the bullet tip today. I think it got used a little too hard the other day doing some other projects. And like I said, I'm going to leave this kitty cat's feet white. However, I did forget, I'm going to add a little bit of shading down in here, so I'll use the orange just to make it a little bit deeper color, a little bit of shadow going on down there, and then fill in his legs and his belly. And that was that. Oh, I forgot his tail. We gotta have his tail, right? There we go. And then I'm just going to come in with, is it light petal pink? Yep. And put a little bit of shading inside his ears. And there you go. Kitty cat's finished. So that is the inside of our panel. I'm going to set that aside. And then in here I have the die cut pieces. I've already started to color and cut them out with the dies. Now normally I finish coloring before I cut them out, but I didn't want to have to do that on camera. So I am going to show you how I did. Oftentimes this looks very complicated. It looks like you did a lot of shading work to make this come out like this, but it's really very simple. So to do the brown, the wooden parts of my bucket, I just used 2 colors. Let me move these out of the way. Make sure, oh yeah, it is on manual focus. This is 200 and this one is 400. And I will have links to all of these over on my blog post. And all I'm going to do is, there would be a shadow directly underneath that metal band. And so I'm just going to lightly put a line there. And then of course there's shadows between each of the wooden planks. And then this is the side of my bucket that's a little bit darker. This light's not on it, but you still need a little bit of shadow even on this side, even if the light is coming from that side. And we'll also need a little bit of a shadow at the very bottom. Not a lot. Try to get it as skinny as you can. And go along there. And then it's simply a matter of coloring in with the lighter brown. That's all there is to it. Now you could get really complicated with it and add lots of different colors, but really this is all you need to do. I am going to go along right where the dark color is and go along with that with this a little bit heavier, and it'll help blend those two colors together. And there you go. The wood pieces are ready. And now for the metal strip there. Now I did use, this is light basic black, and I just did a little line right here at this side because again this is the darker side of my bucket. And then I came in with the dark gray granite and shaded this side, and where those two, you can see there's a distinct line there. You just kind of go like this and just blend over it and the lines will blend together. And I do want this side to come in a little more, and this side is not going to come in quite as far because the light is hitting that side of my bucket. And now I'm just going to fill in with the lighter color. And again, where the two meet, you go over it a few times and it'll help blend the colors in. And oh, we forgot on the brown, we got to do our little wooden handle. So this part here takes just a tiny bit of shading along the bottom and one edge, and then fill in with your lighter brown. There we go. So my bucket is done. Now let's finish up my hearts. Now on this one here I used a slightly different shade. For this one I'm using light and dark of the Flirty Flamingo. On this one I used the dark Flirty Flamingo, but I also used the light Calypso Coral. However, I need a new one. This one is going dry on me, so we switched out for Flirty Flamingo on this one here. I need to order myself a new Calypso Coral. So with this one here, we're going to come in and color in. I like to have these open. Oh, that's my dark. Oh, I put the wrong cap on. I did. This is the light caps and this is the dark cap. There we go. So there's my dark. Make sure. Dark, light. Okay. So I'm going to come in. I don't know why I had both caps off of there before. And now there would be very dark underneath this heart here would be really dark. So I'm just going to color that in with the dark Flirty Flamingo. And then this heart back here, I'm going to darken one side. But then it would also be dark over in here because this is behind the other hearts. So I'm going to fill that in with a little bit of the dark and then come in with the light. Fill in and blend in where the two meet. There we go. Okay, do the same thing on these others. And you can do a couple of the hearts at a time. It'll be really dark underneath that other heart and dark down here at the bottom where it meets the bucket. And I'm going to go ahead and darken these as well. Let's go ahead and do that. And then this one here would be really dark because it's really pretty much behind everything. Come in with my lighter color, blend it at the edges. And sometimes if I really need to blend a little more, I like to use this tip because I can push a little harder without fear of it bending the tip. There we go. And then oh, I used a little bit of light petal pink to just create a little bit of a highlight at the top corner of my hearts. You really can barely see that, but it is there. So there are those. Whoa, get the right cap on and get it on all the way. Make sure they snap. All right, so now on this one here, I completely fussy cut all the way around the edge. Let me back this back out again. you can see the rest of our project. But I completely fussy cut all the way around here. I die cut it out first and then decided I wanted to I didn't want the white outline on it. This one I am going to leave the white outline. However, when you put these together, you don't necessarily want the white outline at the top of the barrel or the bucket. So I am going to trim off that part so that it looks like these two are one solid piece rather than two pieces stuck together. There we go. So I'm just going to trim off that top, and then when you put them together, it goes together a little bit nicer. I did forget, I need to grab a scrap piece of paper because I need to glue these together and I want them to be able to pop up on dimensionals. And so, let me grab a scrap piece here, and I'm just going to cut it down . Cut that off, and cut that off. There we go. Let me cut this corner too. Okay, so now I have something to adhere both of these to so that I can put them on dimensional. Although I could put them on dimensionals by themselves, but because this is going to take a lot of tension, I want to make sure it's nice and solid on there. So we're going to just use, actually I can flip these over. I'm going to use multi-purpose liquid. Just go ahead and get some. Whoops, that came out quick. Must have had an air bubble in there. One tip, the other side is a tip that will actually help to smooth this out if you have too much like that. There we go. So you don't necessarily have to use your fingers to do that. Alright, so I'm going to start by adhering my hearts on and then line up my bucket. Here we go. So that is set and ready. Give that a minute to dry while we go ahead and start gluing some things together. Before we glue, we do need a third piece of cardstock for our card base, and that is our front flap piece. And this is 2 1/4 by 5 1/2, so it is the height of our card, but then it's only 2 1/4 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and do a little trimming and a little scoring. And again, I will have all these measurements over on my blog, which will be linked in the description of this video. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can check out all the dimensions over on my blog. So all I'm going to do is on this short side, I'm going to go in 1/2 inch and give it a score. And then I need to mark, where's a pencil here? Oh. I need to mark 3/4 inch. It's easier for me to do on here. 3/4 inch from the score line here. And then on the bottom, I want to go in 1 3/4, which is pretty much, should be, yes, right where the edge of that is. So now I want to cut from here down to that corner. So it's just a matter of putting that corner along my, in the groove and putting the dot that I made in the groove right here. And then cutting. And there we go. We have that piece ready. And now we need to get this piece ready. Now this piece is from the Designer Series paper, and it is 1 1/2 by 5 1/4, so it's a little bit shorter. And basically the easiest way for me to do it, I'll leave this here because I'm going to need it, is to eyeball. I've got a rough border around here, and I think I want trim. That was the easiest way to do that. And there's the mark that I made there, and here's the mark. Now one little tip. Because this is right on a corner, I don't like to cut down this direction because a lot of times it'll end up mangling that. So I prefer to cut from the part where it's right in the middle of the paper rather than on a corner. So put that down, make sure it hasn't shifted, and give it a cut. And there we have our Designer Series paper ready to go. Okay. Now I can move this out of the way. I've already got a piece cut for the front flap that is 4 by 5 1/4. And so we're going to go ahead and glue that down. Ooh, I'm not sure which side I like better. I think I like this one because then the butterfly will show up a little bit better. I think my butterfly would get lost in this pattern. It's a pretty pattern though. It's very pretty. Okay. You guys should know I love to do it this direction. Upside down. I'm just eyeballing those 3 edges. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same here. I need to go ahead and put that on. So put a line of adhesive there, a line of adhesive, and this one I'm going to use this score line as my guide. Get that on there. Now I do notice I can see a little bit of my pencil mark, so I'm going to go ahead and grab an eraser and get that off of there. Okay, so now let's put our card together. We're going to go ahead and score and burnish. Okay, I'm going to grab some tear and tape because I want this to be pretty sturdy. Stick this. Actually, almost did it wrong. Now you have 2 options. You could actually put it where I was going to put it on here and stick this to the back of the card if you prefer. And that would work just fine. You would just then have a seam in the back. What I have done on mine though is I put it on the inside so that my inside panel hides most of that seam. And had I been smart, I could have made this inside panel even larger and covered it up even more. But this is the standard size. I'm so used to cutting it that size that that's just what I did out of habit. So I'm going to put the adhesive on this side, which would be the same side as the designer series papers on. I'm putting it very close to the score line. Go ahead and peel that off. And then for me to line it up, it was easier to do it this direction, to have this face up, and then to put this on here, making sure that I can still see that score line. I want the score line to extend just beyond that back flap. So there we have that. Okay, and now we're going to adhere this front panel, or the inside panel. Our little key cat, so cute. And whoop, try and get that straight. There we go. And see, now most of that seam is hidden. There's a little bit here and here, but not too much. Okay, and now comes the part that's a little bit complicated, but really not. We want to adhere this on, but we want to make sure there's no adhesive right along here. So what I'm actually going to do, let me grab a couple of dimensionals here. I'm going to grab 3 of them because I want this to be pretty sturdy. Whoops, I should have grabbed a pencil first before I did that. Figure out exactly where I want that to be. Let me get these out of the way so I can use a pencil. And I'm just going to gently mark the top and the bottom where my basket fits. And then I'm going to stick these right along the edge like that. And that way I know that they're not going to get in the way. I'm not going to accidentally get them in the way, but it also is going to make it more secure. So now I just need to add some more dimensionals on this side. There we go. Go ahead. Oh, where's my cup? There it is. Go ahead and peel the backings off. And then figure out exactly where, in fact, so I don't have to keep holding that, I'm just going to grab a clip, hold it down, that way I can have a little more control here, figure out where I want it to go. And you don't want this too far over, otherwise it's going to be very difficult to get your flap underneath there. So I'm actually going to make this one a little further to the left than I did on the first one. There we go. And now, ta-da! Oops, slides under. And then the last thing to do on this card is a little butterfly. Now again, I did these two a little bit different. This one I'm going to go ahead and leave the white outline around this one. This one I fussy cut. Let me grab a smaller dimensional because the regular ones are way too big for that little tiny butterfly. So let me grab a little dimensional to go on him. Let's put him down a little bit closer. There we go. But as you can see on this one, I fussy cut around here, but that means I lost the antenna and the body. So to get the effect, I just stamped it directly on the designer series paper and then just lifted the wings up on the dimensional. So you still get a similar effect, but this one doesn't have a white outline and these ones do. So there you go. What do you think of our fun fold for this Friday? A nice little card to send to somebody who's not feeling so well. Some little get well cheer. I have several people in mind for both of these actually. So until next time, God's love and blessings to you. Bye.